Hi everybody, welcome back to Fossa Media. So this video is going to be all about renaming files, specifically renaming multiple files with a single command or script, which may not sound too exciting, but if you've ever, say, downloaded something like a television series or a music discography and had to go through and rename all the files manually and thought to yourself there just must be an easier way, well, this is that way. So typically there's two commands I use to do this. The first one is called rename, which we'll use to replace all the spaces with underscores, which will make the file much easier to manipulate and use in other scripts and commands. And then after we've done that, we use the mmv command to replace the actual patterns or characters within that file name itself. And where we'll be copying these commands from will just be on my website here, fossamedia.com. And I'll click on GNU/Linux, scroll down to the bottom here, click on File Management, and here's the commands we'll be using. So we have some to replace spaces with underscores, replace underscores with spaces, and replace or remove a pattern. So typically we'll be using the first command right here to get rid of the spaces, and then we'll use the last one down here to remove or replace the pattern inside of that file name itself. And now I scroll down a bit here for a bit further. Here's the command we'll first be using, and that'll get rid of the spaces for us. And then maybe if I just click on the screenshot, here's an example of that. So as you can see, the files up here exist before the tool is run, and they're just full of spaces that we need to get rid of. So after we run this command right here, on that particular file, it will get rid of all the spaces and replace them with underscores on this file right here, which you can see right there. But down here, when we run this command, if we just leave the this part of the field here blank, and we don't specify a file, it'll just apply to every single file inside of that directory. As you can see right here, all of the spaces have been replaced with underscores on every on every instance of each file inside of that directory, which is exactly what we'll be doing today. And even if there is only one file inside of this directory, you can just run this command and it'll work out just fine. It'll just apply to all the files inside that directory. So it's pretty much the same thing. But yep, for now, I think we'll just copy and paste this guy inside the terminal and see what we get. So if I jump back over the terminal and maybe just clear this out, I'm inside my downloads directory. I have some South Park episodes I downloaded, and I want to rename all of the files just to make it look a lot cleaner and get rid of the spaces and all that stuff. Yeah, but before we do that, maybe we'll just run this first command that I just copied from the terminal, and we'll get rid of the spaces inside this directory name right here. And then we can easily manipulate it with other files and, with other scripts and commands once we get rid of those spaces. So I'm just going to paste that command in and then run it. And now if ls, you can see all the spaces have been replaced with underscores. So then if I go inside that directory, and ls, you can see I have a few seasons in there that I wouldn't mind renaming. And it would take a really long time to do this all manually. So these commands come in real handy. So just like we did up top here, the first thing we have to do is get rid of these spaces. So I'm just going to run that command again. And there it is. So I'll just hit enter. And now if ls, all the spaces are replaced with underscores. And then say if I go into season 11, you can see I have a whole bunch of files in there. And what I wanted to do is ideally is just be left with the season number and the episode number. So I'm going to want to get rid of this, and I'm going to want to get rid of this on every single file in here. So just like we did up here, the first thing we have to do is get rid of the spaces. So we can just run that command again. And now if ls, all the spaces are now gone. So now we can use the mmv command to replace whichever characters or patterns we want inside that file name. So let's grab that command. So we'll just jump back over to the website. Scroll down a bit here. Here's some commands to replace underscores with spaces. If say you just ran the last command and you changed your mind, you can just run this command right here, and that will remove all the underscores and replace them with spaces, if that's what you want. But then down here, we have a command right here, which will replace any given characters we want with the characters that already exist within that file or within that file name. So say if I just click on the screenshot here, you can see I have a bunch of files inside this directory called testing, and they all say the foo was set too high. So ideally I want to change all occurrences of foo with the word bar, which is what I did right here with this command. So after running this command, it replaced every instance of foo in every single file with the word bar. So now it says the bar was set too high. So that's pretty much exactly what we're going to do with the South Park episodes. So if I just go back here, I'll just copy this command and then go back to the terminal and paste it in. So now all we need to do is change the word foo here with whatever pattern inside of these file names we want to replace. And then we type in where it says bar to whatever we want to replace it or change it to. So I think what I'll do now is just copy this right here, because all I want to do is be left with the season and episode number. So I want to get rid of this and I want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to copy that and then go back to our command here and go where it says foo, remove that, and then paste in that pattern that we just copied. And then we can go over to bar and remove bar. And this is what we want to replace it with. And in this case, we don't want to replace it with anything. So I'm just going to leave it blank. So theoretically, after you run this command, all we should be left with is this right here. And then we'll have to run it once more to get rid of that. So now if I hit enter and ls, you can see there's all the files right there. But we just got rid of the South Park and underscore. So now if we run the command again and throw that guy in the field where it says bar, we should just be left with the season and an episode number. So I'll just run that command again, go back here, change this to whatever we want to take out of the file name. And that, in this case, it would be all this stuff right here. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it in there. And then just like before, we can just leave this the same because we just want to replace it with nothing. So now if I hit enter and ls, there we go. That's exactly what I was hoping for. So now all our files have been renamed. All the spaces are gone. And that's exactly what I wanted to see. And yeah, that's basically pretty much it. There's not too much to this. Really, the only other thing we could do is just maybe create a script, maybe make it just a little more user-friendly. So we can maybe pass in, say, like a path to where the files may be located or something like that, which should be very easy to do because I already have it done on my website here. So all we have to do is copy and paste it. And this one right here will be to replace the characters of the patterns. But like we just did, we'll first have to remove all the spaces. And we can use this script right here. So if I say just copy all that, go back over to the terminal and try to figure out a spot where I want to create this. So maybe if I just go back here, maybe we'll go into season 12 here. So we'll just cd into that. Now if ls, there's a whole bunch more files there that I want to change. But I think what I'll do first is just change the permissions on them. So make them executable. I was going to say change mod 755, apply to all files. And there we go. Actually, maybe I'll get rid of this too. And now we're ready to go. So now that I've copied that script in my clipboard, we just have to create it. So I do that. I'm just going to say vim. And I'm just going to call this maybe spacego. .sh. And then I'll paste that script in that I just copied from the website. Oh, guess I'll have to grab that again. So let's go back over to the website and copy that. terminal, paste, and there we go. And I'll just save that. And maybe if we just cat that. Yeah, there it is. Now we can run it. And typically I would normally, actually, sir, before we run it, we have to make it executable. So chmod, space go. What am I doing here? Plus X, space go.sh. Now it's executable. Now we can run it. So to do that, it's going to throw in the ./ there. What I normally do too is I'll put this a script like this, say in my modules folder inside my home directory, and then I add a environment variable to my bash RC. So I don't have to use the ./. But in this example, I'm just going to run it right inside this directory here. So I'll just type in space go.sh, hit enter. And it'll ask for the target directory. And in this case, I want the directory to be the one I'm presently in. If, say, I did create an environment variable or something like that, I would have to actually specify the path to where these files are. But because we're already inside of this working directory that we want to change the files in, I'm just going to throw a dot in there, hit enter. And that's just going to list out what's inside of this directory. And so it just says replace all spaces with underscores, hit enter to continue, control C to quit. But in this case, I want to continue, so I'll just hit enter. And here's what the files look like right now. So I did get rid of all the spaces and replace them with underscores. So if ls, there they all are right there. So next thing we want to do is get rid of those patterns in the files. So we're going to want to get rid of that and that. So we're just left with the season and the episode number. And just like we did before, we can run that command. But like we just did with the spaces, I think I'm going to create the script, which we can also copy and paste from the website. So I'm just going to say vim and just call this, I guess, rename.sh, hit enter, go back to the website, scroll down a bit, and here we go right here. So we can just copy all this. The terminal, throw that in here, and then save it. And we'll also, of course, have to make it executable. So change mod plus X, rename.sh. There we go. And to run it just like we do with space go, just throw in the ./ and then rename.sh. Hit enter. And similar to what we just did, we want to rename all the files in the current working directory. So I'm just going to throw a period in there, hit enter. There's all the files, and it's asking for a start pattern. So I'm just going to copy this right here, throw it in here, paste it, hit enter. And it's asking what we want to replace this pattern right here with. So just like we did before, I'm going to replace it with nothing. So I'm just going to hit enter and leave it blank. And then it just says down here that South Park underscore will be replaced with nothing because there's nothing inside of those quotes. So I'll just hit enter. And there we have South Park underscore. This part of the file right here is now gone. So if ls, there we go. So now we just have to run the tool one more time to get rid of this right here. So to do that, I'll just do what we just did and say ./ rename.sh. Target directory is the one that we're currently in. So I'm going to throw in a period, hit enter. And then we want to copy what we want to take out of these file names right here. So just like we did before, but we're just dealing with the last half here. So let's copy that, paste that in, hit enter. And then the end pattern will just be nothing, again, because I don't want to replace it with anything. So I'll just hit enter. And then it's just asking us to confirm here. So all that looks good. So I'll hit enter. And we're all done. So as you can see there, we're all changed. And now if LS, yeah, there they all are right there. So a little bit of work having to run the tool 2 times. But you could also combine these 2 scripts into one too, which would make it even better. You might have to throw in a couple if statements in there to check and make sure if there's spaces in the name of the file and stuff like that as to which tool it's going to run. But I definitely find this, even though we have to run the tool a couple times, far easier than going through and having to rename all these files one by one. I find I just get into a rhythm and I can go through, say, 10 or 20 directories just fine, all full of files. And it only takes me about maybe 3 or 4 minutes to rename them all. As opposed to, say, like an hour or 2 as it would be if you were to go through and do it all manually. But yeah, I think that's about it for this one. So in case you were wondering how to go about renaming a batch of files all at once without having to do it all manually, yeah, I just hope this saved you some time. It's definitely a method that I definitely or certainly prefer over the way I used to do it manually. I find this speeds things up quite a bit. And yeah, it just saves me a whole bunch of time. But yeah, thanks for watching the video, I guess, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.